Yo, guys, what's up? And welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 148. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zebrolf. We're going to be talking about The Penguin, episodes 5 and 6, and the last three episodes of Agatha all along. Any other nerdy news in between as well. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave us a like and on your way out. And if you're listening to us on a replay, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. Without further ado, here we go. Hello. What's
Man,
happening, brother?
that was a speedy intro if I'd ever heard one.
How are you?
Pretty good. How's everyone else doing in the chat? I hope you're all doing well. It's been a couple weeks, but I saw that you posted with Sean Talks Movies. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So yeah, he's become a bit of a friend of mine online, and he's his TikTok's grown and stuff like that, and he's always kind of expressed want to come back and do the cast again. So it was just unfortunate that it landed on a weekend that you weren't around, but
Right.
we had a bank yeah, typical. We had a bank holiday, and he works early, I believe, so he can't really do the streams live at this time.
Mhm.
So it just kind of worked that he was off work the next day. So he was like, "Oh, I'd love to come on the cast," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, we can do it." I wasn't planning on doing a cast. I was going to do a gaming stream that night instead, and I was
Mhm.
like, let's. Do you want to sit down and talk about Venom 3 and stuff? And he had only told me that he was going to see it that morning as well. So I was like, "This is the stars are aligning, bro." I was like, "This is perfect." So I was like, "Let's do it. Fuck it." So it was a bit of a kind of last minute thing, but I thought we had a good conversation. He was having some technical difficulties, and I was trying to help him out before we went live, and then it seemed to kind of stabilize while we were in the pre-lobby, and then I hit go live, and it was kind of just like bouncing around the place a little bit. So fingers crossed next time before he comes on, he gets it sorted. I kind of gave him a few tips. He uses a MacBook Pro, so I've never used this software on a Mac, so I was kind of like, bro, I'm in the dark a little bit here. I said I use a Mac myself, but not for this stuff, just
Right.
for editing and stuff like that. But it's mostly browser related. So I sent him a couple of tools just to kind of help clean up his machine and stuff like that. Doing
Mhm.
some IT support on a Sunday, not usually my thing, but he hopefully he gets sorted anyway. But he's a super nice guy, and I'd love to have him on just when you're here as well, and we can all like have a bit of a little three-way conversation. I think it'd be a good crack. And um, I don't know if you listened to the full cast, but my friend who's the actor just randomly came in as we were talking about Craven. And I was like, Jesus, my friend's in the chat here who's actually going to be in the movie Craven. So it was
I
just
like
the way
Stick
it
of the
landed.
Devil.
Yeah, literally, that's what it was. And it was just so funny. And then I was kind of like, Jesus, like, we should try and get the three Irish guys on a cast together. So we could have a bit of a rammed one maybe around the release of Craven. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not pushing for it, but if it happens, it happens. You know, it'll be great. But if not, so be it. How was your week? I know I'm seeing you live a lot more on Twitch. You're doing a lot of gaming at
Yeah.
the moment. I love to see it.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep consistent with it, at least do about like 3 to 4 hours a day, and it's a little tough, trying to get work done. But if I can get anything in between done beforehand, I could stream a lot sooner. But other than
Mm,
that, like I try to do about 4 o'clock, four
yeah,
o'clock my time,
yeah.
which is like right at the tail end of when you're about to leave, like within like about another hour or two. Um,
Yeah, which is good because I can kind of send my viewers over to you when I'm leaving, like, which is really handy.
Well, I wish I could do the same for you. Like, I just feel
Ah,
like I'm just,
don't worry about it.
it's those moments where I'm like, oh man, if I could only stream in the morning, I could probably hand it over to Finto in the afternoon.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure it'll happen at some point. The
Yeah.
paths will cross the other way around. It usually does. But look, I'm always happy to kind of send whatever viewers and lurkers I have over to you. So yeah, it's good. Um, we've got a good bit to talk about tonight. I know you're in a bit of a rush, so I think we should just maybe just get straight into it. We
Yeah.
had what do we have? 2 episodes of The Penguin and 3 episodes of Agatha. I didn't even realize the Agatha finale, which came out on Halloween night. Great idea by Marvel to release it on Halloween night, but it was a double bill, so it was like an hour and a half nearly of episodes, which was I was kind of shocked. I wasn't expecting to see that at all. I thought it was going to be just one episode and that'd be it. And I thought it was going to be like a 28-minute episode, like classic Disney Plus. But they actually gave us two like 40-minute episodes. I was kind of shocked. So I'll leave it up to you, bro. What do you want to talk about first? Because in my opinion, they were both great. I'm kind of shocked to say, but they were both great. Like since we spoke last, I think both the shows have been really fucking good. So we can jump into whichever one
For
you want.
Agatha and Penguin.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'd rather start with the lowest one in my opinion, which is Agatha. But like, I mean, if you like it, that's great. But for me, I still like, I'm still very much indifferent to it. I don't think I hate it, but I
Mm.
don't think I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, like, okay, let's start with Agatha then. So, yeah, like, am I saying the show is brilliant? No. Do I think it's a win for Marvel right now in a very low point where they are? I think yes, I actually do. I'm quite shocked to see how well the show's doing. It's performing really well. There's a lot of people watching it. The second half of the season, I think was quite strong, especially in comparison to the first half. Like the episode about Lilith or whatever her name was, Lilia, that was a really interesting episode, and just kind of, the way you, like, throughout the whole show, you kind of thought she was losing her mind, but it was actually like a future version of herself, kind of like going back in time. And it was kind of like, it was a bit trippy. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like, oh shit, okay. They're kind of making this work. And then I think there was, towards the end of the season, they kind of backed off from Agatha a bit as well and kind of let those other stories be told and the Wiccan stuff. And I actually thought it was quite interesting and quite good. And, I feel kind of bad saying it, but the show seemed to kind of maybe hit a little stronger when Agatha wasn't in it. But then I think she came in and had a pretty strong episode 7, and then her flashback episode to episode 8, or sorry, strong episode 8, and then her like finale, which was episode 9, which was the prequel episode. I thought that was quite good as well. Like it was interesting to see how she was kind of, going through time, going through all her different covens, like backstabbing left and right, and just, yeah, like, just, the road didn't actually exist. And that was one of the things that when I was talking to Sean, he kind of made a bit of a prediction that that was what was going on, that maybe this was like Billy's hex. And I was like, maybe, I don't know. Like, and again, he was kind of right. I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of cool. Because I think I don't think the show's good enough to go back and watch it again. But I think if you did go back and watch it again, I think it would be a lot better on a second watch, because kind of what's going on now. Billy is actually a Maximoff, and that he's like basically creating everything,
But
which
is
kind of,
he like that's the problem is like is he like what is it that they're trying to say? Like I don't understand
mm,
their plight in this whole situation. And I understand that like I've seen some behind the scenes shit where they're like, "Oh, this is, for Billy Kaplan or Billy Maximoff or whatnot." But it's so fucking confusing, dude. If you think about it this way, Billy Kaplan, which is actually the name of the real Wiccan, and
mm,
not the one that was created by a shard of Mephisto's soul. That should have been the Billy that came around. He doesn't have a brother because they were born in separate families. So the reality is that Billy and Tommy are two separate characters. They don't have a relationship whatsoever, other than knowing each other. They know that they're like somewhat affiliated with Wanda based on the fact that their past had a like kind of like a correlation to their namesake, and that their like Wiccan's magic is somewhat or actually it is based off of like chaos magic, which is possibly even stronger than Wanda's, but we don't know that yet.
mhm,
And it's like it's this moment of okay, so like this character is going to have its own sense of agency, right? Like this character is going to be its own person. And throughout the entire time it just felt like no, it was always going to be that this is Wanda's kid, even though it's using the body of the real kid,
yeah,
that doesn't belong to Wanda at all. Like so like it's this whole split soul situation, which I still don't understand if it's a thing or not. It still seems like it's very much tossed into the air. It seems like Billy's himself, but maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't really answer that many questions by the end of it. It just turns into this whole situation of the hex and whatnot, which I think is a little bit of a cop out. It's a bit of a cliche. Oh, I'm my mother's son, and I did the exact same thing that my parent did, which I was like, I mean, I think it would have been cooler if it was all real, or if it was actually just based on Wanda's magic. And that was like the last bit of thing that she had done beforehand. I would have applauded that. I would have been okay with that. But to make it like a thing where, oh, it was all his doing and that he created the road and the road actually doesn't exist. It's like, why in the comics the road exists? So you're telling me that the road doesn't exist anymore, or are you telling me that he manifested the road and now it exists, or are you telling me that or are you telling me that the road doesn't exist?
I think it's
I
the road doesn't exist, and that's kind of the funny part of it if you were to go back and rewatch it, because Wanda, or sorry, not Wanda, Agatha obviously knows that it doesn't exist because she uses as the gimmick to create the covens and then suck all their magic. But then when she sees that door appear, it's like, well, what the fuck is going on here? And then
right.
that kind of explains how she then kind of cops on what's going on, because it's like she's walking down the road that she knows doesn't exist, but she's just playing along, and she kind of realizes that Billy, now I don't think she got straight away that Billy is actually, like, Wiccan is actually Billy fucking Maximoff. You know what I mean? I think she just goes, this kid obviously has some crazy power, and I think they've got her plan is, I'm gonna fucking take this power, whatever it is, you know?
So okay, so then you're saying that the hex also created manifestations within all of the witches, say it's telling them that the road has existed for centuries, and that the road essentially has been used multiple times. Agatha's used the road, even though she stated that she's like it, or you've seen that it didn't exist at the time, and so she's kind of like lying to them in the sense. Is that the whole idea?
Yeah.
Because like, which I mean, I guess that's can be plausible and whatnot, but like I still don't understand why. Does she believe it? Does she not believe it? Is it like that's the thing? Is like, is she? I don't know if she's that smart. I don't really believe her to be that smart. I
I
just can't.
I don't know if it's smart or if it's age. Like, she's been around for so long. She's used the story of the road to lure witches for so long that she knows it's not real, but the story's been going on for hundreds of years. So
Mhm.
all the witches believe that the story is real. So she uses it to her advantage to get the covens and then kill them. And that's what she was about to do down in the basement. Like she says it in the last episode, she's like, I was about to kill them all in the basement, and then the fucking door appeared, and she's like, "What the hell's going on? Let's just go with it. Let's see what happens." So that for like the trip that we see down the road is technically the first trip down the road, because before this it didn't exist, like, really. So, like, obviously all the I'm like the Asian woman, for example, like, her mother was a witch. Obviously, she heard the tales of the road. She wrote the song about the road. And then again, just witches in the world know of the tale of the road, and they hear the song and blah blah blah. And so they all think it's real. And then obviously it then becomes real with Wiccan. Like, but I thought it was interesting the fact that she was just playing along the whole time, and it's like, oh, let's just see where this goes, because she knows it's not real, because she's been using the road as a weapon for years to just absorb power.
Mhm.
I thought that was interesting, because again, she's using it over hundreds of years, loads of different, like, each decade she had a different coven. Like, it was showing her going through like the fit like 20s, 50s, 70s, 80s. I thought it was kind of a clever way to kind of just do a bunch of different wardrobe changes, and probably a lot of fun for them, like, acting it. But
I mean,
basically,
go ahead.
so, like, yeah, I don't know. I think the story of Wiccan is that he dies, and this is why Death wants him, because he's technically cheating Death, because it's a reincarnation. So, and then I suppose they kind of like doubled down on this with the creation of Tommy at the very end. Like, the kid dies, he's getting bullied in the pool, and then they're like, okay, we have a body, we can put Tommy's soul into this body. It's a fresh body that's just died. So when he died in the car crash, when the real Wiccan died in the car crash, Tommy's soul or essence or whatever you want to call it goes into that fresh dead body, and then he's reincarnated as Billy. So Billy Kaplan is gone, but Billy
But
Maximoff takes over.
no, Billy's still alive.
I don't think so. I think he's gone,
That's
bro.
I hate this. I
Sorry.
absolutely hate this.
This is my understanding of it. And when I was going into the finale, that's what I thought was going on as well. And then when they do the poor kid getting killed in the pool, and then it's like, okay, now we've got Tommy, let's go find him. That, I feel like they've doubled down on that. They've reincarnated that body with a soul of the speedster. That's kind of my understanding.
Couldn't they have just separated the two, man? Like, couldn't they have at least given us something else? Like, I would have been much happier if this was Billy Maximoff, and then but there's also a Billy Kaplan. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, it would have
Yeah,
ended with Billy Maximoff actually getting taken by death. I think that would have been much more satisfying. You know,
yeah,
Agatha couldn't save him, and therefore, like, he's gone for good. He was supposed to be associated with Wanda, and then she's saddened, but then she's like in the neighborhood, and then she sees another Billy, looks exactly the same, and she's like, what are you doing here? Like, didn't you just die? And he's like, what are you
yeah.
talking about? And he's like, you're Billy, right? And then it's like, yeah, Billy Max. Oh, I'm Billy Kaplan. What do you? And
Yeah.
then it's like, oh
You're like, what the
shit.
fuck?
And then but
Yeah,
then she decides, like, should take him under her wing. And then, like, that would have been so much cooler, because then it's like, okay, well, I got to experience Billy Maximoff for a short amount of time, which is exactly what happened in the comics from Wanda's wish. So it's like you're trying to manifest everything without putting Mephisto in play, which is so fucking sloppy, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
And so, like, they had to make up this entire bullshit fucking story that then steals the characters that should exist and replaces them with the ones that shouldn't exist.
So what you're asking for or thinking should have happened, I think that could still happen down the line, because I think what's probably going to happen, we know for sure that we have Mephisto showing up in Ironheart, and then perhaps then there's a Scarlet Witch movie coming as well, and there's the Vision show as well. Like, there's a couple of different projects coming up down the line where they're going to continue this story. Maybe it comes to a stage where Wanda gets her family back, but then Mephisto comes and interferes, and maybe just, I'm going to take my pieces of my soul back or whatever, and then those two kids become their old selves again, and then we actually get the real Wiccan. Maybe he gets restored somehow. Mephisto somehow restores the real Wiccan or something. That could happen, I suppose, technically.
Yeah,
But, like, again, it could just be Marvel, like, trying to do something different for the cinematic universe, where it's just, it's kind of the same story, but it's remixed or, made a bit different. Um,
yeah.
just
See,
want to just I want to get this comment off
yeah,
the
go for
table
it.
here.
No, no,
So
you're
just talking what Andre's asking here about Wiccan making the road. I think at the start, now again, I've only watched the show once. This was just my understanding of it. I might be wrong. Correct me in the comments or whatever. But what I think is going on at the very start, I don't think I think Billy believes in the road. And I think at the very start, I don't even think he doesn't even know that he's Billy Maximoff yet. At the very start, when we first meet him, he still thinks he wakes up from the crash. He's got amnesia. He doesn't remember really who he is. And then it all starts to kind of unfold. And then he ends up kind of hearing about the road and hearing about Wanda and Westview. And he's kind of like getting intrigued. And then I think he manifests the road unknowingly at the very beginning, and then it's because at the very end it's kind of explained when they're going around his bedroom, all the stuff from the road was kind of stuff like that was in his memory, his core memories from around his room. So I think he unknowingly created the road, and then he walked it, kind of for real, if that makes sense, because he didn't actually know it was him that was creating it
right.
again, which I think could be a little more fun during a second rewatch. But yeah, I don't know. That was my understanding of what was going on, and then kind of when he kind of realizes who he is, it kind of all comes into play for him.
Right. I mean, it just, I don't know, the way you're explaining it, I feel like it's still reaching certain points of, like, there's so many different things going on, and so many different aspects of this character that just, in my opinion, don't make sense. Creating all these different ideals and kind of manifesting it because the kid like the kid died, I guess, and like I said, it just sounds very convoluted.
Hmm.
I know they were trying to kind of set this up as a plausible solution to introduce Wanda's, like, faux kids,
Hmm.
because in reality they don't exist in the 616 universe. They don't exist at all.
Yeah.
um they may exist in other universes, but, like, that's the other universes. I mean, it would have been, I would say it would have been more plausible if they had actually introduced Mephisto into the situation. Um,
I was shocked when he didn't show up in the last episode. I
dude,
was like, it's the perfect place to put him in. At the first appearance, have him in with Lady Death. Like, it would have just been brilliant. And now he's going to show up in Ironheart, a show about a new kind of Iron Man kind of protege or whatever. Like, I'm like, this just feels weird. I don't know. It
well,
seems like a weird space for him.
and to be completely fair, Lady Death is lame in this one. Like
Mm,
I don't agree that I don't think she's any sort of aspect of death that we see in the comics. I think this is a very tongue-in-cheek kind of character, and I don't like the fact that it was both two characters, like it was Rio and Death. It just felt very sloppy. I think it could have been better as two different characters.
mm,
It would have been much cooler, in my opinion, if Aubrey Plaza was Death and Rio was a different character. You know, it could have been another lady. I don't care if it's gender swapped or whatnot. I just think it should have been two different characters so that we can have a bit more fleshed out scenes.
yeah.
You know, they didn't utilize Aubrey Plaza the way that I thought they could have. I think that they made her a little too much of a jokester.
Mhm.
And it just wasn't helping with the plot at all. I think it was just making it more annoying. And I agree with you. Like when it comes to a show that's supposed to be about Agatha, when she's not in the scene, it's actually quite, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Um, it it
Yeah.
it, it always felt like, but even then, I would say it always felt like people were constantly still giving each other shit, even though they had to help each other. And I get it. They didn't know each other that well, or they did know each other, or she has a reputation for killing witches and whatnot, that's fine and all.
Mhm.
Um, so why help her? Why even go down this path? And I don't even remember why they even get down there. Why did they even care to help her? I just don't understand what the whole point is. Maybe I need to do a rewatch to find out like what actually works and what doesn't. Were they all
Yeah.
trying to get power? Were they all
Yeah.
trying to just solve their own riddle? Like,
I think that was it. Like they all had their own end goal to get to the end of the road. They all had their own, like it's kind of, the genie in the bottle, like get to the end, you grants your wish, and they all wanted their own power back. I think that was pretty much it, really, to be honest. It was all kind of
well,
selfish want.
and the the funny thing is like I kind of knew that the potions lady was going to be the one that's going to survive because why not? Because
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
all the because you get rid of the you get rid of the old crone, you get rid of the one that's been cursed, and then you have the one that hasn't been doing shit throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So like, let her live. Fuck it.
It was cool
Instead
the way
of
she flew away at the end. That was like her only cool part.
God
She just
damn it,
like
dude.
flew away. I was like, oh, cool, she can fly.
I,
That was kind of her best moment.
Dude, I just don't understand why so many shows decide that they want to go along the same type of cliche of like, oh, we're in modern times. Witches aren't a thing anymore. Like things that are traditionally witch, shouldn't be a thing. And it's like, yeah, I get that there are stereotypes behind witches, and I get that the whole broom situation can be considered like a sexist thing towards women. But it's for fun. And if you really
Yeah.
feel that way, then don't put it in the fucking show. Don't fucking throw that shit in my face. I like the broom stuff. Like it's like if you want me to be a guy and be a witch or a wizard or a Wiccan or whatever the fuck you want me to be and put me on a broom, I'll fucking do it because I get to fly.
Yeah,
Go
that'd be
fuck
cool.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Harry
like
Potter's cool.
yeah, Harry Potter flies on a broom. What the fuck is
Yeah.
your problem? Like,
Yeah. Nimbus 2000. It's a beast.
why do they make it sound like it's such a bullshit thing? Like it's not. It's cool. Like, and they get to make them. It was this cool process of them like creating a spell to actually enchant the fucking branch. It's not even a
Yeah.
broom, it's a branch.
They
And
can make them out of anything. Yeah, I thought that
yeah,
was, yeah, I don't know.
that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. It was.
But
I
like
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. There was some weird takes in the show, and
yeah, it's
it's just, again, like I think it like very shocked to say I was streaming the other night, and the conversation about the show came up, and I was kind of like, I was kind of shocked. Like someone asked me, like, is it actually worth watching? And like by the end of the show, I think you're kind of like, well, for me anyway, I was kind of like, it took a surprising turn in the second half. Like, so for maybe like episode 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 9 was kind of like a nice kind of epilogue, kind of outro sort of thing. I thought it was interesting, but like I think episode 1 was okay, and then like I think it was 2, 3, and 4, maybe 5 as well. I can't really remember, but there was a couple of episodes that they were it wasn't hitting for me at all. It was just really, it felt really cheesy. It felt really kind of girly and teenagery and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, this just doesn't feel like it's made for me at all. And I just really thought that was where the show was going, and it was going to just steadily get worse every week. And it was very refreshing for me to like kind of sit back and go, whoa, episode 6 was good. And then like, whoa, episode 7 was better. And then it's like, holy shit, episode 8 was pretty good. And then episode 9 was kind of sad. And it was like, I kind of felt for Agatha a bit, like, with the boy dying in her, when she went to sleep, she wakes up and he's dead. Like, that's like, as a parent, that's like the ultimate fear, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm kind of sitting there as a parent going, oh my God, my heart bleeds for this woman, because like she literally fell asleep with her, like wrapped around her son, and woke up and he was dead. Like, it's like, oh my God, like that's like, that would have any parent an emotional wreck, So I was kind of like, the show kind of started bringing me through some things. I was like, holy shit, like this is actually, I just wasn't expecting it out of it at all. So it was kind of, it was a very unexpected kind of win for me in that sense. And I think for Marvel, yeah, it's probably doing really well. It's probably really good.
Mhm. I mean, I don't know if I'll feel that for a kid, but I have pets, and I'd be devastated if I woke up and my pet was dead.
Well, yeah, like if you fell asleep like with your cat in the bed beside you or whatever, and you're just next minute
Wake up
next,
and
yeah, 8 hours later you
they're
wake
not
up and
moving.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
game over. You're like, what the
Oh yeah.
fuck? Yeah, it's fucking terrifying, bro.
Yeah, because
Uh,
you create like an emotional attachment to things, and
yeah.
it like you spend so much time with it. You're hoping that it lives as long as you do, but it's never the case.
So Marvel Maniac in the chat for anybody who might be listening. Sorry, guys, but I'm completely in the other camp. Agatha was way better than the Penguin. I can't watch that show. It's so boring.
You're a troll. You're a
Do
fucking troll, and you
you
know
know
it.
what?
Like,
Do you know
holy
what?
shit.
I've seen a lot of people with this take online as well. And personally, I don't understand it myself. I'm not going to throw shade at Maniac at all. I'm delighted that you enjoyed Agatha. For me personally, I just think everything about the Penguin is better. Like, it's looks like it's shot better, the acting is better, the script is better. I know a lot of people don't like gangsters sitting around talking and plotting and all that sort of stuff, and I can understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. The crime shows and stuff like that. I'm a massive fan, I've said this in previous casts. I'm a massive fan of the Sopranos and all that sort of stuff, and for me, it's really like that shit just hits hard for me. So I'm loving it. I think it's kind of funny. Like, I've seen some like TikToks and stuff of like how close it is to the Sopranos, and it's a little on the nose in certain points, but I think it's a massive success for HBO. And I, I I understand, they're kind of on at the same time. So some people are like kind of, saying one over the other and trying to put them against each other, Marvel versus DC. I don't really understand it. Obviously, when I'm making the thumbnails and we're talking about these episodes, I'm not like trying to pitch them against each other. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say like, oh well, this week one was better than the other. Like, I enjoy one more than the other, but it's not a competition. I think they both sit in completely different leagues. Completely, it's like fucking, it's like football and ice hockey. Like, you know what I mean? They're two just completely different things. I don't think they should be kind of measured up to each other at all. Um, that's just my personal take on it. So I don't know. Marvel says can't even watch the Penguin breakdowns. That's
Why
crazy.
are you watching the breakdowns? I fucking hate anything that has to do with an after credits show is fucking cringe to me. I don't care
Oh,
about like breaking it.
we make the breakdowns. Like, I
Yeah,
suppose, well,
and
we review it, but
we review it. Yeah, that's a different thing. Like, we talk about what we liked about the show and whatnot, and but we're like, and yes, we do have those moments where we talk about like what could happen next and whatnot. But like, it feels so weird when when like the creators of the show like have a sit down and talk with like other people and go, hey, did you like the show? And what do you think about it? How's your character doing? It's like it turns into this thing of like that actor doesn't exist. We're talking to the character, right? And it's like it just feels kind of awkward to me. I don't like that stuff. I never watch any of the Game of Thrones after credits like breakdowns and shit. I never watched any of the other shit. I can't remember what else like did that kind of stuff, but like stuff like that. Once the show is done, once credits hit, unless there's a post credits scene, I am the fuck out. I gotta go. I gotta like I gotta use the restroom. I gotta get up. I gotta think about what I just watched. I don't want to talk in like excessively, or I don't want to go over it again. Essentially, I want to let it marinate in my brain and I kind of like it helps me understand like did I really enjoy the show? Did I watch the show? Because there are times where I've had to rewatch Agatha because I watched it and I was like, wait, I don't remember what the fuck I was looking at. And so I rewatch it and then I'm like, oh, okay, I understand what I was looking at now.
Rob, how dare you, bro?
Their own work. I mean, I don't work in the show, dude.
No, I know
that's different. Saying. Like
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
It's like I can't even fucking review my own shit. Like it's hard for me to go over the things that we talk about and go like, oh, I kind of want to go over that. Like it's so hard for me to get out of that because I just don't like looking like I'm my own worst critic essentially. Mm-hmm. I will look at it and be like, fuck, we should have talked about this or fuck, I just think that, maybe something else could have been added or maybe there could have been other things that we could have done. And yeah, like that's probably good takes on it, but I'm not gonna sit down with people after this chat and go, what'd you guys think of the show? The majority that we do, like I would say, is like by the end of it, we go, if you liked it, please subscribe. If you didn't like it, let us know what you think. I like feedback from the people, not feedback from myself, talking to the people that need to that also would give feedback who worked in the show and not have an audience feedback. Like it just feels so fucking awkward. Like that's, in my opinion, smelling your own farts. Like I don't like do I think that our podcast is amazing? I think it's fun. I don't think it's like amazing yet. Like we might hit some moments here and there, but I'm never. Oh yeah, no, you can tell me how dare you all you want. I enjoy the show. I enjoy our podcast. I just am in this mindset. So I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know either. It might be a great gangster show, but other than that being called The Penguin, has nothing to do with DC. I'm gonna watch, if I want to watch that genre, I'll watch The Sopranos. Like I think right now, personally, I loved how it kind of literally just took over directly after the Batman movie in 2022. Like I think the first scene of the Penguin show is like the day after the bomb goes off, so the day after the Batman movie, and like Oswald's looking out the window and he's kind of like, oh, look what this like madman did, like referring to the Riddler and stuff. And I think it beautifully kind of just transitions from big screen to small screen. Now, the stuff that's happened in the show, is it DC story? No, like it's kind of stuff that happens in the back alleys or like, the nitty and gritty stuff of Gotham. But I think that's cool. And I like to see that sort of stuff. Like, I don't know if you read a lot of Batman comics, but like you'll see a lot of Gotham in the Batman comics. You'll see like the kind of thugs that work for Two-Face or whatever, or any of these villains. Like you kind of get a good like look into like how they kind of live and stuff. And I always find that stuff really interesting. So I'm kind of liking watching Penguin kind of try to take over. Sophie always refers to him as his driver, and I think like he still kind of thinks of himself like that. He is kind of like, he's kind of shit on the Falcone's shoe, and he's like trying to basically hustle his way to the top, and I'm enjoying watching him do that. And I kind of feel like, where we get to in the latest episodes, he's kind of getting there, you know what I mean? Like his drug business is taking over. He's kind of taking over the underground, like the subways and stuff. And you know what I mean? Like the Maronis and Falcons are now working together and they're trying to find Oz and they can't, and they're fucking fuming. And it's kind of like Oz is kind of winning, like, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to see. Um, are they going to finish the show on a really like kind of high note? And maybe I suppose I don't know. I hope that they do. I hope that it kind of beautifully transitions back from the small screen onto the big screen again for the second Batman movie. Maybe it doesn't, and if it doesn't, I would maybe then agree with what Maniac is saying. It's kind of not really to do much with DC, but I kind of have the feeling, and I think the way that the show's been done, I think it will link back into the Batman 2. I think something's going to happen at the end of this show, and then whatever happens at the end of this show is going to be one of the first talking points in the second Batman movie. You know, you might have a crazy gang war at the end of the show, and then like maybe one of the first things that Alfred brings Bruce in the thing is like, you know, did you hear what the Penguin's been up to or something like that? And I think it's going to kind of cleverly transfer back to the big screen. Like, I would say that's kind of a bit of a no-brainer, right? Like, I think that's kind of what they should be aiming to do anyway. Now, if they don't do that, valid point, but I think they will. I really do. I think this show was originally being developed to be like a HBO original show, like on HBO Max, and I think that they kind of realized how good the show was, and they're like, we're going to move it on to the main channel, put it on the premium slot on the Sunday night, because I think the big wigs in HBO have seen the show and they're like, okay, this is fucking brilliant, you know. So they're like, this is getting an upgrade to the main stage, basically, you know. So I think it's going to have a strong end. I don't think it's going to flop at the end, personally. Now I hope I'm right. I like, again, I'm a big DC fan. We all know this. All I want to do is see DC succeed, but I yeah, it's yet to be seen, I suppose. But I don't know. I think, you know, it's each episode each week is scoring quite high. I do see a lot of people who have the same view as Maniac in the chat, and like, I think, yeah, I don't know. It's just, this is a classic example of it's just not for everybody. You know, like, every project that's out there is not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably people that absolutely fucking loved Agatha and they think it's the best thing that Disney Plus has ever put out. Like, I've seen articles written, but like worded like that. This is the best show that Disney Plus have put out. I personally don't agree with that, but if people do, great. You know, it's just, it wasn't the best show for me, but
Right.
it is for some people. And, you know, obviously not everybody's going to like the Penguin, but I think the vast majority of people do. Like, taking my own parents as an example, they're not into comic book shit at all. If they ever listen to this podcast, it's only just to hear me. Like, they don't want to hear what we're talking about. And you know, they're even telling me, like, they're actually watching it before I do. So like, they get to see it like straight away on Mondays. Like, I don't watch it until late on Monday night. But like, you know, I was down at my parents' house last Monday, and like, my dad's like, "Did you watch the episode yet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't seen it." And he's like, "Oh, it was brilliant." I was like, "Geez, don't tell me anything." I was like, "What the fuck? You've seen it before me?" I was like, "Don't fucking say anything." So like, that'll kind of show you where it is in like kind of the general consensus of, like, you know, standard fans, because it's like, it's just, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I think a lot of like normie people are just picking it up because it's, again, it's the crime drama, it's that sort of thing. It's
Yeah,
DC's Andor. Oh god, bro,
that's a fucking take.
don't
Holy
don't
shit!
tell me that. Don't tell me that.
I've not heard that before. That's insane. I mean, honestly, like, to say that that's DC's Andor is to say that Titans, the third season, did fantastically well, or whichever season that it was with Jason Todd. I like that's like
I
that's like
understand what he's saying. I understand the reference of what he's saying. I think it's because a lot of people's criticism of Andor was that there wasn't like lightsabers and Jedi and this fucking Empire and all that shit. It was just kind of political, right? Whereas this show, there's no Batman, there's no fucking, you know, Justice League, there's no superheroes. It's just the criminal element, you know? So I kind of understand where you're coming from. I just, yeah, I don't I don't like Andor, but I like the whole crime side of things, so I'm enjoying Penguin. But a lot of people love Andor. Like, there's people who will die on that hill on Twitter. Like, if you bring up, like, if I ever leave a negative comment on a post about Andor, I get hounded. I do it sometimes for the fun, just because I like to see people fucking going crazy at me. I think it's funny. But yeah, like I'll write a negative post about Andor, and that post will get like 100,000 views. There'll be people fucking, "You're a piece of shit. You're never gonna make it as a Twitch streamer." And all, like, they attack me personally, like, you know. It's like, and I'm just like, feed the trolls. Like, I love it, like, you know. But I understand people's take. Like there are people out there that absolutely love Andor. I thought it was not good because again, it's not what I go to Star Wars for. Some people like Maniac again. This is not what he comes to the Penguin for. Like, fair enough. You've got like you're entitled to that opinion.
Mhm.
What's up, Griff? How are you, dude? So
I
yeah,
mean,
like
it's an interesting kind of situation when you think about it that way. I get it. You know, so not everybody is a fan of crime shows. Not everyone's a fan of politics, and not everyone understands like the concept behind Gotham. Because when it comes to Gotham, it's not all about Batman. It's about Gotham. It's about the protecting the city. It's about a means of regulating what the city does, what policies it has, what laws it makes, and everything that it pretty much entails around Gotham. You know, and the reason why Batman exists is because some of those laws, some of those policies, some of those acts that are performed by different characters such as Harvey Dent before he became Two Face. It's like all these things fulminate into the city can't fucking function because it doesn't know how to fix itself.
yeah,
And so when you don't know the politics behind it, then you don't really understand why Batman does what he does.
hmm
So when you see that, Martha and oh my god,
Thomas.
Thomas, they both get murdered in the street. Bruce still exists and he becomes the Batman because, he feels like he needs to fight for justice because Gotham can't do the things that, a vigilante would be suitable for.
hmm
Um, because then it makes Gotham look like a piece of shit, right? So like you have to have that one character that's going to look villainous but is actually doing the right thing. So when you see that this ground level like introduction of you would say gangsters or even organizations come around and you have Penguin going from basically zero, like a nobody, to top of his game, which he's like on the cusp of, and he's and we saw like in the most recent episode that like maybe things are about to drastically change because of the things that have occurred with Penguin and some of the people that he's trusted the most. um it's really showing how like Gotham can't really trust, like nobody in Gotham can really trust each other. It's really tough to go through life and just assume that you're going to live a comfortable life. Like the cops are corrupted. The streets are just downright like dirty, corrupted, and whatnot. Like the politicians are corrupted because they're paid off to look the other way. And then you have Penguin who's like trying to revolutionize things.
hmm
And then you have Sophia who is also trying to revolutionize things because of the hate that she has. So like Penguin, I don't know if Penguin has any hate. I just know he has aspirations to become like the best of the best. And we could see that as we're coming along, like he's kind of rounding up his battalion in the sense like he's got like the squadron of different thugs and
That,
gangsters that are
that was
in.
that was such a great scene, by the way.
It's I love the fucking the
Cracking the
the the beer.
beers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought that was
yeah,
a great like way
yeah,
to showcase like the introduction or like the induction.
yeah,
Um bringing people in. It's like you crack open this beer, you're
you're
telling
in.
me you're the fuck in. Yes.
Yeah,
And that was so fucking good.
it's like the round table stuff where like you see like they flip the cards or whatever. Like it's like
Yeah.
that's them kind of saying yeah I'm in, and it's a very clever move from Penguin because it's like obviously he can't go up against the Falcons or the Maronis, and now the fact that they're all together, it's like he needs to bring the rest of the gangs of Gotham together under his
Yeah.
umbrella, pun intended. But yeah, like literally, I thought it was very clever, and they're all
Oh
cracking
yeah.
the beers. It was really good. I saw a leak as well from I think the next episode. I think there's two left. After where we are now, I think there's 8 in total, or maybe 9 in total. So maybe there's 3 left. I'm
Mhm.
not exactly sure. But I saw a behind the scenes photo, and he's like got the top hat, so like he's gonna kind of become more like the comic version of Penguin, which I
Good.
can't wait. I can't wait to see. Can't wait to see
Yeah.
him rocking around in the top hat, and hopefully
I
he
hope he
gets the
gets
umbrella
a
as well.
I hope he gets the fucking full on suit with the undershirt, and I would love the umbrella for the cane, and
Yeah,
just like just fucking rocking it. Whether he's in all white, all black, I don't care. Just fucking put him in there, kind of showcase that look. Even if you give a little nod to it and go like I would love for him to be like put the top hat on. And he's like fucking itches,
Yeah,
just kind of being
yeah,
busy about it.
yeah.
Um,
That would be great.
but like it's just this design of these characters and how they're dynamically changing over time, and I think Victor is starting to come up a bit more. But you could definitely see that like it was taking time to step back for a bit, and then once they came around to this point of where Victor kind of is able to showcase himself, now he's kind of standing out and becoming more of this character that he is kind of confused about. He's like, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, I just killed a guy. Like, I've never done that before. Like,
That
is
was a
this
grim scene as well, where he shot your man Squid in the neck, and he's just
he
like
had?
dying slow. And
Oh my
oh,
god.
he had to take him out, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It
that was grim, bro. That was a grim watch.
was so good though. Like it's
It
because I
was.
was I was wondering how he was going to do it, because it's like because he was trying. He really was. You could tell throughout the entire time that he was talking to him. He's like, dude, please just
Just
take the
fuck
money.
off.
Please
Yeah,
just take the
just
fucking
fuck off,
money.
please. Yeah,
Yeah. Because then afterwards he shoots him and then he goes, why'd you make me do that, man? Like
yeah,
literally was like, because he knew that's why he had the gun in his pocket. Because I was like, if he doesn't accept this, he's either gonna fucking
yeah.
or he's
I,
gonna just shoot him in the back of the head, or like, but he did an action shot. He's like, whoa, whoa. I was
yeah, it
like,
was cool.
God damn.
Yeah, I was kind of well, not so much hoping, but I thought it would have been a cool scene if if he couldn't shake him, and then he ended up like kind of going like, all right, I'll introduce you to the Penguin, and then like he gets brought in and meets Oz, and then Oz kind of just like kills him on the spot, like fuck this guy, or something, like like kind of
Yeah,
like
that would have been sick.
that's where I thought it was gonna go, and I kind of feel like there's a kind of, I'm not gonna say like father son relationship between them. I kind of feel like it's more like kind of big brother little brother
Hmm.
kind of thing. And I thought maybe that was where they might go with it. They might go like, maybe the big brother Oz needs to kind of just get rid of the bully for Vic. Like, but I thought it was cool that he did it himself. And I think we're going to slowly see Vic kind of become more of a badass and more of a gangster himself. He's going to, because like, he's got his first kill now. And I think it'll be first of many, honestly. Um, Maniac in the chat here. If he turns around and says this bird's gonna fly, I might be interested. I don't think it's gonna get real goofy, but I think there's gonna be some clever nods to the comics.
Dude,
Yeah.
I you talking about how Squid would have been captured instead, and maybe I think it would have been like, yeah, take him out with the Penguin, but like also do a moment where like you has the bag over his head and he's tied behind the chair. He pulls the bag up, and then you see Oz just like fucking walk in, and then he puts on rings,
Mm.
and he's like, and just fucking just wailing on him and trying to basically like rehabilitate him so that he leaves him the fuck alone and maybe like actually gets integrated into things. But I do love that Vic got his moment, even
Yeah.
though he didn't want it. Like
Oh,
that was a great fucking moment.
yeah. No, I'm loving the character development of Vic in the show. I think it's really good, and I bet you as well, like his nervous stammer will start to kind of slow down, and he'll become really confident that he won't start stuttering and stuff as much. Like I think he's just going to become a real badass. I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really do. Um, yeah, I like those two episodes. I thought they were great. I have like a whole kind of list. I'm afraid to kind of break the episodes down now. I don't really want to talk too in depth of them, but I thought they were fantastic. Do you remember the bit where he was like strong arming the councilman and he's got the pliers in his nose and he's like reefing it down?
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that was like one of those things where I could really feel the pain in my own face. Like I was like, oh Jesus, like it was a rough watch. It's really good though.
Dude, the scene with Sophia. Oh my god, I love that fucking scene. Like the fucking her being like the fucking Falcone, like the Falcone family is fucking gone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you see Vidi trying to talk over Sophia as if
Oh,
Sophia gives a shit. And then
boom.
immediately she just bah.
Yeah, because I thought she was going
So
to kill him
good.
like straight away, and I love that she only kept him around to make the point to the rest of the family, like I'm in charge now. Yeah,
Exactly.
she's a fucking badass. Like she's such a great character, and like I saw again, I don't know if it's real or if it was like a just kind of a scoop or whatever, but I did see one of the Twitter kind of news pages talking about how she's going to have a pretty big part in the Batman 2, which I think, as I was saying before, I think it's important for this show to work the way that it should. I think stuff like Sophia going into the next Batman movie would be, very good and make it a good bridging moment between the two movies and make it an actually important thing to watch if you are like a fan of these Batman movies. It's like, well, this new character who's going to be in the movie, it's like, you want to know who she is, go back and watch the show if you haven't watched it. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's clever. I think that's the way it should be. And, that's what I've always been saying about all the Disney Plus shows for Marvel. Like it's like when they first started, I felt like these shows were just kind of an excuse to give heroes new suits or something, because it was like we'd watch like a whole series and then at the end they'd just be introduced in a new suit and it's like, okay, like, cool, they got a new suit. Like, it's like, that was that the whole point of the series? Like, so I want them to fucking better connect into the big screen.
Yeah, no, I get that. Do you still think that we may possibly get introduced to either Bruce Wayne or Batman by the end of this?
I read somewhere that Pattinson isn't going to be in the show. Now, I don't know if this is a kind of Andrew Garfield kind of lie to just kind of try to steer people in a different direction, but I think it would make sense if like, maybe there's like an after credit scene or like the very last scene of the show is kind of maybe Batman's bike kind of pulling up and at a crime scene or something like that. You know, Technically, do you need Robert Pattinson to do that? You probably don't. If you have like the car pull up and you see Batman get out and we don't see his face, you just see the suit in the back of his head or something, and then leave it to our imaginations to fill in the rest. They could do something like that, and then technically then they're right in what they're saying. Pattinson's not in it, but I don't know. I kind of thought it'd be really cool to have a scene with Bruce Wayne, or even just like a news report. He's taken over as CEO of Wayne Industries or whatever, and maybe you just see a little video of him like kind of giving a speech. We don't even need to hear it, kind of just like a background thing. Like
Mhm.
I'm happy with small little references like that. Like I don't need like full blown scenes and Pattinson on set for 2 weeks recording shit. Like I don't need it to go that deep. I'm happy enough with just like a small little reference here or there. And even if they just have the Batmobile shoot by and we don't even see Batman in it, they just have a stunt guy driving it. Like I'm still kind of happy with that sort of stuff because at least we know Batman's around. He's actually doing something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whereas it was always a gripe of mine with like the Daredevil show. That's like we're watching this show for 3 seasons. It's so fucking heavy in New York. You're telling me Iron Man's not flying around somewhere, or we don't see like any of the Avengers. Like Avengers Tower is supposed to be right there. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like it kind
For
of just
Daredevil, like was it? I thought it was in Hell's Kitchen.
yeah, but that's New York, bro. It's like it's the
Uh,
same thing. Like
No, 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 dude. Like that's why he's not there. Like I've never seen Iron Man like go into Hell's Kitchen for no reason. Like it
well, you
has to
could see him
be.
fly by. Like he's not like he does walk through Manhattan in the show.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, but
like you could
I'm just
easily just
saying
have small
I'm just saying
references.
that's
I'm just saying it could happen.
right, but I'm saying like that's a big take for such a big character. Like
Mhm.
I would be more applicable if it was Punisher, which we did see Punisher.
Yeah.
It'd be more applicable if it was Spider-Man because Spider-Man lives in Queens. So like we'd have something similar, but these characters know that they also have different heroes that live in different areas, so they should be managed no problem. But if things get out of hand and start bleeding into the areas that they're usually associated with, that's when it gets a bit hairy. When it becomes a much larger threat, when explosions are happening, when people are rioting like crazy, and it's bleeding out into different areas of the state itself, that's when it involves like the majority of characters. Now, like I would I love to see like different crossovers? Of course I would. Would it get very expensive? Oh yes, it would get very expensive unless you decided that you wanted to do characters like CW, where they're just completely different. They're differently acted by different actors, and essentially making it so like we get these kind of like maybe even B-list actors doing A-list work. on an A-list show or a B+ list show. Um, that would kind of like satisfy the ideal, but I think it costs a lot just to even put the damn character up. Especially if it was Spider-Man, because if you do Spider-Man, then Sony's going to have to take a cut of it. It just really depends on what you want to do. But in terms of the characters within their area, they have to be there at some point for some reason other than they just happen to hear that things were going down. It has to be on a catastrophic level that's reaching within the state. So like it's more plausible to hear that we only had Daredevil working here, so then they talk about it in, like, let's say Queens, or in the deeper part of New York City, where it's like, oh, did you hear about what happened in Hell's Kitchen? Yeah, like the Daredevil took out Kingpin, and there was this whole corruption thing going on. Like you kind of hear that in the background, or you get newspapers referring to that. But I would say like a prime example is Hawkeye, where there was a fucking building. Shit was going crazy. Where the fuck was Spider-Man?
Oh, I agree.
Like, that's a thing. Where the fuck was Iron Man? That's a thing. Buildings are getting fucked. Spider-Man should have been out there. Iron Man should have been out there. It's like damn near Christmas, or it is Christmas. I can't remember if it was on the day or the day before.
Yeah, it was. It was Christmas.
So then fucking what? Are they opening presents right now?
Yeah. I know, like, look, anytime, I always say this about Spider-Man as well. Like, it's like when you're playing, like, even like the Spider-Man games, and like it's like the Venom, like in Spider-Man 2, when like the Venom symbiote takes over all of New York, it's like, where the fuck are the Avengers? Where's Iron Man? Like his house is covered in like a symbiote right now.
Yeah, like
where
you
is
should
he?
get a visit. You should get a visit somewhere. You should be like, hey,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, you got this? It's like, no, dude, I need help. What the fuck?
Talk to me, bro. Like, yeah, like, come on, like, what the fuck is going on? So, look,
that's why
I don't know.
That's why you got to say they're off world, or that they're in a different, or on the other side of the country or something, and they don't know that things are going on.
Yeah. No. I look, I think it's a conversation I could have for 2 hours, with plenty of examples, but
and some liquor.
Yeah, exactly. I think though, where we are right now in Marvel, I think like stuff like that will start to happen, because I think it's just more kind of connected real world wise. It's more connected now than it ever has been before. Like the fact that Sony are playing ball with Marvel a bit easier with the Spider-Man character and Spider-Man, side characters. I think, you could see Tom Holland like just swing by in a different project. Like I think that is now possible. Obviously we have like a lot more, like all the Fox stuff now, all the X-Men, like the Mutant Saga is going to bring in its own shower of different characters and stuff like that. Like, I've heard rumors that, Chris Pratt might be in Spider-Man 4. Like, you're getting a Guardian in a Spider-Man movie. Like, I think it's just the connective tissue, I think, is going to come back, and it's going to come back in a really strong way, because I think they've realized, yeah, we need to bring this shit back because this is what people love.
Yeah, I can see that. Collaborations have to make sense though. And I'm not saying like it has to 100% make sense, but kind of give us a reason instead of like, hey, he's off duty now.
No, I don't want I don't want to see like, we're watching a whole story and then like Deadpool pops out of nowhere. Hey buddy, what's up? How are you? Oh shit, what are you up to? Do you need my hand? Like, I think that's a bit ridiculous. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah,
I think if you're in New York, I think it makes perfect sense that Spider-Man and
Daredevil
would run into each other, for example.
Yeah. Wait a minute though. You just said Deadpool pops in. Sorry, that's a horrible example. He'd pop in no matter what.
Deadpool could walk in that door right now and it would make sense. Like, I know.
Yes,
it was a terrible example. I'm sorry, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, sorry. Just what Maniac could say it here. The chat is like, enjoy reading comics, not like Stephen King novels. And I understand, like, and the whole dark, gritty drama thing. I think a lot of people have that take as well. I fully understand where you're coming from. I just find the dark, gritty crime element, that kind of genre and like feeling, works really well with Gotham City and works really well with Batman as a whole. Like, I think Batman as a character and Batman as a comic series, like, it is just so dark, it is so gritty, and me personally, that's why I like to read it. I just read the new Absolute Batman issue 1 today, and it's like it's kind of like kind of feels like a bit like the Matt Reeves kind of Batman. Like they're kind of it's like an Elseworlds Batman, and he grew up differently. You know, like his parents weren't rich, and I think they lived a lot longer. Or maybe
Mhm.
sorry, his mother's still alive, but his father died, and you know, it's like he's not a billionaire. He's just a normal dude,
Mhm.
but he still becomes Batman because his dad died, and he's a lot more kind of gritty. Like you know, he cuts someone's arm off in the first episode, in the first issue, and you're kind of like, oh shit! Like you know, it's like this Batman's kind of this. He's fucking even grittier than the Batman that we usually know, you know. So and then like Alfred is kind of like hunting him and stuff. Like it's really cool. It's a
Yeah.
pretty fun first issue. Um, but like everyone's been talking about the new Batman symbol that he has, and it's like real like giant and covers his whole chest. Like this dude comes at him
Is
with
it
a
a big
butcher.
B?
No, it's like a giant, giant bat, and it's just so stupid looking. But in the first issue, a dude's coming at him with a big like fucking meat cleaver, and he just like takes out like a what looks like a pliers or something, sticks it to the bottom of the bat symbol, and it pops off the fuck off his chest, and it's like an axe, it's like a weapon, like, and he ends up chopping his hand off with it. I was like,
That's pretty
holy
cool.
shit! I was like, but everyone's been talking about how stupid the symbol is, and I was like, the symbol's a badass weapon. I was like,
It's the best
holy
symbol
crap!
ever.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't see that coming at all. So yeah, I don't know. Like I think Batman is just super dark, super gritty, and I personally just think that the Penguin works.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I'm really hoping that we get a very much like stapled character look by the end of it. I think that's what you and I are both kind of hoping for, maybe even just a nod to it.
Yeah,
Um, I think we're also hoping to maybe see like a little bit of a maybe a brooding Batman at some point, just to kind of give us something that says like, okay, so maybe he's just in recovery because of all the things that happened, you know. Um, I would say nothing excessive is really going on in terms of like whether or not you need the Batman at this point, because there's so many. I would say there's so many drops that aren't happening. There's no like full on shipments that are going on besides underground things. So like maybe it's just taking some time. Of course, like Batman's always watching, so like it's not like he's not aware of what's going on, but he does see that the two crime families are kind of like just eating each other from the inside. So it's like I think he's just maybe biding his time. I would say he's just biding his time
yeah,
until it gets weak enough. And then he's like, I'll jump in and then I'll just ruin the rest of them and then take them all to jail. And then then it turns into the cliche. It's like, I'll get out in the next week, Batman.
yeah. This won't be the last you see of me, Batman.
It's a bat.
No, like I think like this, it's confirmed in the movie. Like we're looking at year 2 Batman, so he's green as grass. Like he's brand new. He's still learning on the fly. Like the technology is going to get way better. His bat suit's going to get more equipped, like, and all that sort of stuff. Like, so, and he'll just become more of a badass fighter as it goes on. Um, I heard I don't know if this is like a fan theory, or I don't think it's like spoiler or anything, but the way his name is different, like it's Oz Cobb. It's not like Oswald Cobblepot, because I
Mhm.
think like they've changed his like kind of family history. I believe in the comics, Oswald Cobblepot comes from a very rich background. So the fact that he's like very much like kind of working class in this show, they've changed his name to Oz Cobb. But apparently the Cobbs were one of the founding families of the Court of Owls, I believe. So some people are theorizing, like, I wonder, is this kind of a nod to potentially the creation of the Court of Owls, or the fact that maybe the owls could be like an extended part of his family or something like that, and maybe he'll get like an invitation into the court because of his name or something. Like people are kind of saying, like, maybe that's why they've changed his name. So that kind of stuff interests me. I want to see where it goes, because again, we're seeing kind of different adaptations of different characters in this world already. So it could get really wild. It could get really different.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like I really want to see where it goes. I want to see when it's all said and done. I'm praying for a little Batman cameo, but if it doesn't happen, fair enough, it's fine. But I think it's going to really transition very well into the second movie
Oh yeah.
by the end.
And
Yeah,
and I think it's going to stick the landing. As far
I
as
think
I
so.
can tell, like it's just It's going in the right direction. I do feel like, I am predicting a bit that maybe Sophia will die. It's getting a bit out of hand. She might be trying to go as hard as possible, and then it's gonna end in her demise.
Mm,
Or that'd be cool if maybe even maybe they do keep her alive. Maybe they kill Maroni instead and just have the Chikante family like hang around.
mm.
But I don't know. It just seems like this whole clash is going to be forever unless one heavy family dies. So Penguin
I'm
isn't really a family either. He's like
no,
an up and coming character that's
yeah,
trying to create his family.
yeah.
Um, so it's this new situation of like, what if Penguin kills Sophia, or if Maroni manages to like escape and Sophia dies, then I don't see a way of her getting out of this. Especially if we want to keep Penguin around. If we kill Penguin, then it's like, that's gonna suck
That'd be
because then
that'd be shocking. I think if
yeah,
Penguin died at the end of it, I'd be like, whoa, I didn't see that show going that way at all.
right.
Um, sorry, just as you're talking there, I opened up IMDb just to confirm there is 8 episodes only. Episode 7 is the one that airs today for you guys. Like
Mhm.
I'll have it tomorrow. The episode 7, it has 491 reviews on IMDb so far. It's sitting on a 9.8 out of 10, almost perfect score with nearly 500 reviews. And the episode is called Top Hat. Yes,
I like it.
the hat
I
is
like it.
real. It's coming, bro. Um, yeah, and then the finale, episode 8, which is airing on Sunday, November 10th, is going to be called Great or Little Thing. Don't know what that means,
Hmm.
but anyway. So we got two left to talk about on the cast, and then I believe when the show ends, the next week after is when the Dune show, Dune Prophecy starts. Are you going to be watching that?
I guess I could. Like Dune was good.
Yeah.
I thought the second movie was pretty good. Um, I'll watch it if you want to watch it.
I will 100% be watching it. The show looks incredible. I reacted to the trailer on the channel last week. Like it looks fucking movie quality. Like it looks sensationally made, and the cast looks really good as well. I didn't even know like Travis Fimmel was in it, and he was in like Vikings and stuff.
Mhm.
Great actor. So I'm 100% in. I will be watching it, and it will be nice to talk about it as well. So I'm not forcing you to watch it, but I would
You're
like to talk
forcing
about it
me.
on the cast.
You're
I'm
always
forcing you to
forcing
watch
me.
it. Yes, yeah, watch it. um, yeah. So like, I think it'll be again. It's a show to watch over the holidays. I think it's going to run for like 8 or 10 weeks, so we'll have it over the Christmas period. I think it's going to be a bit of a slow burner. I think over the Christmas, maybe there'll be a few other shows as well, but I think DC and oh, sorry, there's what am I saying? We have like DC and Marvel wise, I don't think there's anything really coming out, but we have um the Star Wars show, the Skeleton Crew is going to be on. So I'll be watching that one as well. Again, I'm not forcing you to watch these things, but it would be nice to talk about that one as well. That one's coming out, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So
Mhm.
we could have another 2 shows to review on the cast along with all the other nerdy news and everything else.
Yeah. And for all of you anime fans, One Piece is still on their hiatus. It's been about 2 weeks, but they've started their episodic run of the Fishman Island Redux. So anyone that hasn't started watching it yet, I haven't watched it yet. I asked Katie if she'd be down to watch it with me, but we'll see because it's episodic, so I don't know if she wants to do that again. Um, but it's
Is this
supposed to
is
be
this
like
the
a
remake you're talking about, or is this some? Sorry, you're talking about just the
it's
continuation on
it's
from
a
the main show.
no, it's technically a remastering of one of the arcs that happened in the previous
Ah,
run.
okay, gotcha.
So the idea is that they're remastering it so it looks different. It's updated visuals. They're going to give it I think a little bit more of a cleanup on some of the different things that they had placed into the show originally.
Right.
From what some people have said, I think it's going to cut a few areas just to kind of shorten it a little bit. But as far as I can tell, it's probably just going to be the exact same thing. But it's just going to look visually amazing,
Yeah.
um, compared to what we've seen in the past. That we had our like I would say that once it reaches into, I don't know, the late 300 episodes, I would say
Mhm.
that's when you kind of see, or like close to 300. That's when you start to see that the design or the animation start to get cleaner and crisper, because this show started in, I think, in the 90s, like 99, I think.
Mhm.
So it's because it's been about a 25-year run so far, and visually the first like few arcs, I would say a lot of the first few arcs are just this old gritty style of 90s that you see in like some of the older animes that some people absolutely love, but some people don't like the style of the older One Piece. They kind of like the style of the new one. I
Yeah.
personally think that the new style just introduces like this new aspect of change,
Mhm.
especially for the 2-year time skip. And so this Fishman Island Redux essentially is a retelling of the point where we had the 2-year time skip with our main characters and basically their eventual return. Um, I would highly recommend watching it. If you just want to see like what goes on, you probably won't know what's going on in the story before or after that, but like it's just
Like,
visually going to look pleasing.
give me like a rough kind of idea of where it sits in the timeline. Is this like, are we talking about like this is like episode 600 sort of thing, or
This is episode 547, I think.
okay? Oh, it's
It's
it's kind of middle of the road sort of story wise, a little
Yeah,
bit.
because it's
Yeah.
the middle. Like it's essentially at the end, like at the beginning of where it ended in the original run, and then this is the 2-year time skip of when they decided to become
Gotcha.
stronger, essentially. Because I don't want to talk spoilers or anything, but a lot of the characters had split up at some point, not because they were angry, but because something happened. And so they realized that they needed to get back together, but then they saw their captain showcase something on a newspaper that said, like, don't come within 3 days. I need you to come back here in 2 years. Literally, like you see a newspaper and like he put a tattoo on or like some sort of writing, and it said 3D, which meant 3 days. It's
Hmm.
crossed out, and then it's 2Y, so it's 2 years. And so the whole crew, they get to see that, they see like the newspapers and they take a look, and most of them are basically crying because they're like, oh god, I know what you mean, I get it. And then they all just decide, all right, it's time to fucking bulk up, it's time to get your protein in, it's time to fucking go hard. And then 2 years later they show up and they're just massively different compared to what they used to be, but their personalities are the same. they're
Yeah.
just they're just way stronger than they were before, because they're ready for the new world. The idea is that they went into the Grand Line, they got to Archipelago, they got split up. They're told, come back in 2 years when you're stronger. They're back here now, they're ready for the new world.
Hmm.
So that's the whole point of it. And to get there, they have to go through Fishman Island, which is um, this area underneath, like deep in the depths of the ocean, that's separated from human contact because humans are racist against fishmen. So it's this whole like segregated colony that's essentially, they want peace with humans, and that's the whole point of that arc, is like understanding peace between humans and fishmen, and to understand that like they're kind of the same person. It's
Hmm.
just, fishmen are stronger because they have to be.
Yeah.
They live underwater, they breathe underwater. They're kind of, they see, in some cases they see themselves as superior. And and so like it's kind of like this weird like change, this like balancing act of like, well, the fishmen think they're superior to humans, but the humans think that they're superior to fishmen, so which is it? And then it turns out, like, as you go along, it's like, well, no, they're a part of the same part of the same pack. Like, if you were to have, like, you can essentially say that like fishmen have similar blood to humans. That's why they're able to kind of, because there's an important part of it where like a blood transfusion is necessary between a human and a fishman.
Hmm.
But that's still the fear that you get. This show teaches you so much about like so many different concepts that most of us have probably forgotten about.
Hmm.
It talks about abuse, slavery, segregation, racism, sexism. There's all these different things that attribute into the show, and I think it's like that's what makes it so strong, is because
Yeah.
it kind of tackles each and every one of them. And the reason why people love Luffy so much is because he doesn't care. All the most he cares about is the fact that like if places are hospitable and they're wonderful to each other, then he wants to protect them.
Mhm.
So basically anytime they feed him, he's like, yeah, I'll help you out.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, like again, I probably won't watch that just for the only fact that like I just won't have a clue what's going on.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but it's cool. Like for One Piece fans, it's really cool. I like that they do shit like that because I've seen clips, and I think I tried to watch the first episode of One Piece. I think you might have tried to. You showed it to me, I think, at one point, and like the animation style is very dated in like the first couple of episodes from what I've
Oh
seen,
yeah.
like clips and stuff. It's very dated. And then as an example, that clip that you sent me today of on TikTok of One Piece,
Oh,
and it was kind of,
between
yeah,
Fujitora and Zoro.
that looked so much better. Now I don't know if that was
That
like some editing magic by whoever made that video, but or if that was just straight taken out of an episode or not, but like that looked way cooler.
that one was taken. I think it was taken out of a movie.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
they do have multiple movies. In the show there is a lot of flashiness nowadays.
Yeah.
It's taken so much time, but eventually I think they've gotten animators that can really handle that work.
Mhm.
And because the characters are so fucking powerful now, you have to have that kind of strong animation. If you
Yeah.
were to watch, like, I wouldn't even be upset with you right now if you decided you wanted to watch the most recent recent episode
Yeah.
of the anime just to watch how amazing the animation team has been doing, just to
Yeah.
showcase how powerful these characters are. You see a character that you met in episode 1 that is now in episode 1122 that has become this. He went from this weakling who couldn't even hit someone and like without hurting his own fucking fist to punching a goddamn island and destroying like the arm of this manifested island to save the people up like below it.
Mhm.
And for them to have their minds fucking blown because he's the pupil of Garp,
Yeah.
and Garp taught him everything that he knew. And and this kid went from like he knew he was a weakling and decided I can't train like everyone else. I have to train 100 times stronger. If you've ever watched Naruto, that's kind of the embodiment of Rock Lee. He's like, if I can't do 100 push-ups, I have to do 100 sit-ups. And if I can't do 100 sit-ups, I have to do 100 kilometers around the village. Like it's insane shit. You have to overwork if you want to be the strongest, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
Thanks. It is. That is very cool. I like the way anime kind of teaches people those like core kind of like values to make you a good person, you know. But like while you're watching, like people kick the fuck out of each other. It's kind of funny. I know you were kind of saying you wanted to get out of here early, so I think we should just leave it for the week. We'll be back next week, guys. Anybody who's just popped in, Josh, I know I saw you just pop in there. Sorry, dude. We're about to head out, so maybe just rewind back to the start, watch it all over again.
We appreciate you.
It'll be here forever, so just catch up on what we talked about. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 7 of The Penguin, and we've no more Agatha anymore, so I don't know. Maybe it'll just be a Penguin episode next week, and we'll try fit in some more anime talk, maybe in some nerdy news from the week and stuff like that. But
real
yes,
quick,
yes.
what's your rating on Agatha?
Rating on Agatha is probably a 6 out of 10. It was
I'm
about
there
a 4.
with you.
It was about a 4 until about episode 5. It was sitting at about a 4. It was like, I'm never watching this shit again. I just wasn't liking it at all. And then yeah, like by the end, I'd say a 6. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair.
Yeah, because like again, I thought the second half of the season was quite surprisingly good, but the start of the season still happened, so that goes into the final score. You know, you have to kind of rate it as an entire thing. So yeah, I'd say 6 out of 10 is probably a fair score. I'm kind of, as I said, I'm shocked that we got the second half of the season that we got, and fair play to Disney. I think it's probably going to have the show kind of in high regards for most of the fan base, and I'd say it's chalked down as a success on the big whiteboard, and off they go to the next project.
And
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that, to be honest. Like
Yeah,
I would
they need a
very much
win.
prefer.
They need wins,
Yeah.
bro. You know, if I don't like something, that's one thing. But if something's just pure shit, that hurts everybody, and that hurts
Yeah.
the brand, and it hurts Disney, it hurts everyone. If something's good and it's well received and people are watching it, people are liking it, and it's doing good for the brand, that's all green ticks, that's great. But I don't have to like everything, you know what I mean? Like if I don't like something, that's fine. I just move on to the next thing. I just pray that Daredevil's going to be great when we get it, like that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's not all for not every single project's for me. That's fine, and I've accepted that. I kind of feel that Ironheart might be that's the same way. Although I don't know if you saw that little trailer that they released. They released a little trailer for the Disney Plus stuff to come up, or whatever they called it, looking forward, or whatever they called it. And like there was a couple of clips of Daredevil in it. Looked fantastic. There was a couple of clips of Ironheart in it. I was quite shocked at how well they actually looked. So I think the future is very bright. So I'm glad that what could be well considered the last of the shit projects of Phase 4, which is Agatha, actually ended quite well. I'm kind of
Yeah.
happy.
I would say the tarot card episode was by far my favorite. I love the concept behind that.
Yeah.
It was a very enjoyable experience. I actually really liked the character. I didn't think I would like her, and then they kind of showed this fucking revelation with it,
She
and
blew
I
it
was
out of
just,
the fucking
I
water, bro.
and
That
that
episode was
was
fantastic.
the peak, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it was.
I
It was
loved it.
100%. People, I saw people online saying like, give her an Emmy nomination for that episode. Like she was incredible.
So
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I like to think like going into Agatha, I was expecting 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, whatever. Like by the end of it, I'd be like, oh geez, this is one we need to forget, But like by the end of it, you're talking about Emmy nominations for some of the fucking characters in the show, and like you're talking about like some potential like peak 10 out of 10 episodes in the middle of like a pretty shit show. Even that is just a massive win in my book. So yeah, yeah, it was good. All right, guys, appreciate everybody hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Take care, everyone.